And I'm on.
Turn the volume up, turn it loud. Miami's pride, make us proud. CanesWear crew, you hear the crowd. Hurricanes ain't backing down. Every play, every score. Raising bets and raising roar. Rocking orange, green galore. All for one and one for four. We got FTSN, taking names, win it again. Podcast fam, till the end. Tune in, now let's begin.
Hello and welcome to the CanesWear podcast on the FTSN network. Today is Wednesday, July 9th. We are now 52 days away from the start of the football season, the start of Canes at home against Notre Dame. I know probably nobody's even thinking about that one. 52 days, obviously symbolic. Ray Lewis, Denzel Perryman, several other players that were number 52 for the Canes. And it's an exciting time, less than 2 months away. So we're on the FTSN network. Like and subscribe. Bobby and team do a great job, and follow. They've got a lot of special content. Gio and I will be answering questions for the next 90 minutes or so, and we look forward to having everybody in the show. And welcome to the show, Gio. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, doing great. Just coming back from vacation a few days back. College Football 26 released the other day. I didn't get the chance to play yesterday. I played on the release day on Monday, but game is pretty nice, pretty cool. I know a lot of people are excited that the game is finally dropped. And we're getting close to camp time, fall camp for the Hurricanes as well. Date I've been hearing is actually July 28th.
July 28th. So, wow, that is right around the corner. So 19 days. So we've got 19 and we've got 52 as the big date. So exciting times right now. I guess there's a lot of people didn't play in spring, so we're going to see them out in the camp. And it's if you're a Canes fan now, you got to be very excited about what's going on. The Canes are predicted to be if not best in the ACC, maybe second best. I think I saw the odds somewhere that we were the favorite. Hopefully we can do that and follow through. And even if we're not the favorite, hopefully we can just put our year together and finally bring an ACC championship to South Florida. I know for years, Gio, people would say, we don't want no ACC championship, national championship or bust. We don't care about the ACC. Well, I know most fans like myself do care about the ACC now. And it'd be nice to, while the national championship would be awesome, you're probably not going to get to a national championship without winning the ACC. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. I would definitely agree. The other factor I'll throw in there, too, is you would like to see Miami, at least the football program, win the ACC before they end up leaving. With all the conference alignment going on and all the issues that have happened over the past year with the ACC, I know they have some sort of sweetener new deal, but the likelihood that things hold there over the next, let's see, we're in 2025. Over the next 4 years, that's not very high. A lot of people think that the ACC could crumble as a conference over the next few years. So would be nice to see Miami win it before it all ends.
You know, it's interesting, the whole conferences. We obviously know everything is going toward the SEC and the Big or Big Ten, whoever teams they have. What are they, like the Big 20 now or so? Used to be the Big 8, the Big 10, then I think there was the Big 12, but now it's the Pac-12 or the Pac-10. It used Pac-8. It actually used to be, if you're old like me. But what happens when a conference like the Pac, whatever it was, Pac-10, Pac-12, what happens now? They got rid of all their teams. They're starting new. They're not going to be a Power 5 conference, correct?
Yeah. Basically, that conference fell apart before last season. I know they're trying to restructure it again with some new teams. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, the Big Ten basically poached a bunch of teams from that former Pac-12 or what used to be the Pac-10. And yeah.
It cracks me up now. Where teams are playing, where they're traveling to. We discussed last time is Miami swimming going to have to fly to Stanford to do it for a swimming? Is our miniature golf team going to have to go there as well? I mean, now, if you had a miniature golf, flag football maybe is a sport one day in colleges, and and are these things going to be? Are they going to have to travel to Berkeley, California, to go play? If it's, I can see football and I can see baseball and basketball, and nothing against the other sports, but obviously we know they're not as funded as well. So we still can't figure out how that's all going to work financially to generate enough money for these teams to be flying back and forth and staying in hotels all over.
I agree 100% with you. I think we all know the elephant in the room is that football, for the most part, about, I would say 85 to 90% of the teams in the Power Four is their moneymaker. You have a few outliers like your North Carolinas, your Dukes, your Kentuckys, that the basketball programs are the large portion of the moneymakers in their athletics programs. But for the most part, yeah, football is the breadwinner for.
It's almost like football should be a separate entity. It's like the NCAA, whatever they're going to call it, if they change that name, which I can see one day, without the powers of the NCAA overseeing everything. If it is the National College Football League or whatever it is, almost its own separate entity where the other schools go back to the regular conferences. I mean, that has to be something that they're talking about for money issues, because like you said, 90% of all revenue comes from football.
Yeah, and it falls that same way for Miami, that side of the coin as well. But we'll see what happens down the line. Someone here had asked the question about what conference do we think that Miami lands? We've talked about it before, the Big Ten, just how everything aligns academically. Miami checks all the boxes there for what the Big Ten looks for in their programs. The other thing, too, is the connections there that I've brought this up before. Donna Shalala, I know many Miami fans weren't big fans of her in terms of athletics side, but there are certain things that she set in place and the relationships that she has with different schools within that conference. People forget that she came from Wisconsin prior to Miami, that she will be an advocate for Miami to get into that conference. And I know people say the stuff that happened way back in the past, but her biggest legacy may be that Miami getting into the Big Ten.
Well, that'll be. So you think she still has some pull to get to the Big Ten? All right. So that would be interesting, an interesting schedule. I mean, nothing outside of Florida State. We really don't get excited about any games in the ACC. I know North Carolina's a rival, but we're not going to play them every year. I mean, Virginia's a little bit of a rival, but Louisville, how much of a rival would they be? But playing the Ohio States, the Michigans, or those teams that could be exciting. Even USC, UCLA. That could be very interesting. So we shall see what happens. It will be exciting, and it's something to look at besides our everyday battles on the field. And as we said, it's 52 days away, Gio. Everybody is getting geared up, excited, and pumped right now. As we get within 30 days, it'll even be better. I'm sure everyone's excited about seeing Carson Beck in practice, as well as several other players. Let's get to a few questions, and then we'll go ahead and cover some of the recruiting, because I'm sure some people will be asking those questions. Hassan, welcome to the show. Let's see, said something about DT. Are we reaching? How are we doing at DT right now in recruiting?
Miami's got two in the boat between Tyson Bacon and Anthony Kennedy. Bacon comes from the Alabama area, Kennedy from the Arkansas area as well. Miami struck out with James Johnson a couple weeks back. They felt good about that situation for some time. He ended up going to Georgia. He had some comments about saying that he felt that he's an SEC guy, which struck the conversation. Does the ACC hurt Miami in recruiting? And I've said before that I do think it hurts Miami to an extent. There is that SEC bias out there from some of these kids that they believe that the SEC is the best conference in college football. That's debatable because the last two national champions are from the Big Ten. But that's a whole other story. The other defensive tackles, Nolan Wilson, Miami narrowly missed out there to Alabama. Alabama had long-standing relationships there, as I mentioned before. They were the first Power 4 program to offer him. He's out of the Mississippi area. He ended up picking them, as expected, last week. You also had Bryce Perry Wright, who Miami was in a bit of a bidding war with Texas A&M down to the wire the last few days. The Aggies landed him. Next one they're going up to bat for is actually tomorrow. Lamar Brown, the number one. This is a little difficult to say because he's projected at different positions depending on what recruiting sites you look at. But Miami has been recruiting him as a defensive tackle. Lamar Brown from the state of Louisiana was considered the number one D tackle in the entire country based on just the composite ranking. It's always very tough to pull a kid out of Louisiana right there in LSU's backyard, especially if the Tigers want that kid too. Texas A&M also in the mix, which is always a problem with the Texas schools, the amount of resources and funds that they are putting into recruiting now. Even Texas Tech nowadays, they are investing so much into their athletics programs in terms of the NIL front now. It's incredible. But Miami will try to go to bat up there. I don't think Miami's going to end up being the pick tomorrow. I think Lamar Brown ends up staying home with LSU, especially with Texas A&M already getting Bryce Perry Wright. I think LSU will up the ante there and try to keep one of their own local and close to home.
All right. Yeah, I've heard some customers that are have Texas backgrounds, like I mentioned in the past. There's so much oil money, and these guys, nobody even heard of them, and they've got billions, and they just decide to pick a school. It could be SMU, it could be Texas Tech, it could be any of those Texas schools out there. Not only going to be Texas A&M, which has always been the case, it seems. Heck, I don't even know it was how long has Texas A&M really been on the map, for that matter? It seems like it's always Texas.
They've been around for quite some time. I think just the running joke is, I've seen this before. Many people say, "Oh, all this money that they have, and they're throwing around at players." But still no national championship in how many years now?
Exactly. And remember what happened with SMU. They were like Miami before Miami was. I mean, they were huge the days of Eric Dickerson. And I believe that was right before we made our run. So there was plenty of money at that time. And if they all pooled their money, if that program doesn't get pulled apart and stepped on by the NCAA, who knows what it would have done. Obviously, if they were an SEC school, who knows? They could have got the rules turned for them, and they could have just been a powerhouse for a long time. Let's see. We got Jacoby, Jake, Hassan. Thank you for joining the show. Let's see. Next question we got up is got something here.
While you're pulling that up, actually, there is one name I'll mention aside from the misses, but newer name to the board. Miami was in contact before this kid ended up committing to Oregon. Viliami Moala, who recently decommitted from Oregon. That was a name that was brought up on this show, I believe last week. Someone had asked me the question about it. It happened while we were live and whatnot, so I couldn't just really comment on it. So I got some background information on that. So yes, Miami and Moala are in contact. There's plenty of other schools in play there as well. Still early preliminary stuff going on there right now. I expect that to be a recruitment that goes more into the season and with the fall and game day visits and whatnot. Nothing could really happen right now because it's a dead period. Yes, both parties can have contact, but there's no in-person contact. So there will be other names that pop up on the board as Miami gets into the season. It happens every year. Not every program is going to hit on every single one of their targets as well. I know people have many questions about like the safeties that are making decisions this weekend. We'll get into that. But in terms of defensive tackle, and I'll mention this slightly for linebacker. Miami loves the two that they got right now with Justin J.J. Edwards and Jordan Campbell. I know there's a thought process that they have that they're happy with those two. They would like to take three, but they would be totally fine just taking two. They're not going to overextend, but they will evaluate senior tapes, I think people forget that last year Miami found Kellen Wiley when his senior season started. He was at a school that he wasn't getting enough exposure beforehand, ended up transferring to Armwood, blew up in his first game against Miami Norland, and the rest was history. He ended up signing with Miami at the end of the recruiting cycle, went from a guy who was unranked shooting up all the way to a 4-star prospect. So there's guys that can surprise and come out of nowhere. It happens every year.
Absolutely. And everyone talks about the misses. We did get a Canes legacy the other day, correct?
Yes, Brody Jennings, actually. So he committed on my birthday, July 5th.
All right. Happy birthday.
Thank you. 32 years around the sun already. But in terms of Brody Jennings, though, so his sister is currently with the track and field program at Miami, Brittany Jennings. One of his older brothers actually attended Miami from, I believe it was 2017 to 2021. That was Bradley Jennings Jr. His father played linebacker for the Florida State Seminoles in the 1990s. Bradley Jennings Sr., who actually recently had passed away about a month ago. My condolences there. And has another brother, which is Brandon Jennings, who currently plays linebacker at Mississippi State. So there's a bunch of athletes in that family. The family's originally from South Florida, the Miami area. They relocated to Jacksonville, but a ton of athletes in that family. It's a lot of traits to like there about Brody Jennings, too. A lot of people view him as a pure press man corner at the next level who could pair really well with Jalen Waters in Miami's recruiting class. So that was a really big get there for Miami. And yesterday, you also had a surprise commitment for the class of 2027. So Zaquan Linton out of Palm Beach Central High School, which is basically
He's huge, isn't he? What's he, like 6'6"?
Yeah, he's like 6'6", almost 300 pounds now at this point. A lot of people were surprised because there was no bat signal about that and whatnot. I saw it pop up, spoke with a source at Miami about the situation. They accepted the commitment. He's totally a take for them. Mario Cristobal and Alex Mirabal had the chance to watch him up close during Miami's camp. Their last camp of the summer, actually. It was one of their last camps, the weekend of June 20th, some weeks back. So they like what they saw there. They're going to take him in the class right now. He's really big already for his age. And one of the traits that was described to me that they really like there is how agile he is at his size already. And he's only going into his junior year of high school. I know some people say, oh, but he's a 3-star, this or that. The rankings change so much between before a player enters his junior season all the way to the end of his senior year. And offensive line is one of those positions I'm never really going to question because Miami's had a really great track record in terms of those guys since Mario Cristobal and Alex Mirabal have arrived on campus. And the last note I'll mention, there was a basketball commitment too that had been teasing well over a week ago.
Yes,
what was I talking about? What was I hinting towards? Trayvon Maddox out of Oak Ridge High School in the Orlando area, actually, 4-star wing, likely projected between like a shooting guard, small forward at the next level on the collegiate level. But Miami's really excited about him. Jay Lucas has continued to build out that roster. It's a just complete makeover, basically, of that entire team at this point.
And basketball starts when? About October?
That's more on like November.
Okay, so that'll be exciting to see. I know that comes up obviously when the Canes are hot and heavy into the season. Duck is here, everybody. Welcome, Duck, to the show. Thank you for joining in. Trey, thanks for coming in. Answer that conference question before. Let's see. Lorraine, thank you for joining the show, reposting the stream. Thank you. Anyone, feel free to repost the stream. Remember to like FTSN as well. Rob, welcome. Do you have lacrosse merchandise? Actually, Rob, as amazing that is, we did have hats and we did have shirts, but I think we are out of them right now, and we'll see if we can get them again. But that's interesting. You can reach out to us again, and if there's anything special you want, we can see if we can get it. Remember, Gio, the show is sponsored by CanesWear, the spot South Florida fan shop, 2655 South University Drive in Davie. Got all your Canes, your Dolphins, your Stanley Cup back-to-back champion Panther items, okay? Even some Marlin items. The Marlins are playing well. 11-game winning streak on the road, I think it is, or is it 12 now?
They got a bunch of young prospects. Someone had mentioned this to me, or they asked me the question about it. I think it was you, Brett. Actually, it was last week, and I said, look, it's fun while it lasts.
Exactly.
Just my concern always was with the Marlins, because history has shown over and over again, is a fire sale going to happen? Because now they got some young prospects that have some promise. Are they actually going to build behind that, or just start?
Well, the payroll is so low at $62 million. I think the Dodgers average $62 million a player. So it's it'd be hard to have a fire sale right now. But they've got some talent. It looks like they're losing today. Today they had not lost an 11-game home road winning streak. They've not lost on the road. The last time they lost was before the Panthers won the championship, before OKC won the championship. So it was quite a while ago since the Marlins have lost on the road. So pretty amazing. The by far lowest payroll in baseball was on an 11-game road streak. That's just phenomenal. So anything's possible, folks. We just want the Canes to go on an 11-game winning streak during the year. Maybe 12 would even be better. If we're doing that, we might as well just go all the way. Anthony, welcome to the show. Brown will be a hurricane. The school he goes does not send many kids to LSU. Well, I hope so, Anthony. We hope you are correct. Let's see. I Hate Football podcast. Okay, that's a good name. Thanks for joining in our football podcast. Hey, guys, any update on the Adarius Hayes situation and if he'll be available this season?
Yeah, so I've been asked this question a few times, actually, but I'll say the same thing again. He has been participating with the team in off-season functions, strength and conditioning as well. I know the last thing that was mentioned about the whole situation with the accident was that it was under investigation. Those things can take time. It depends. It varies from case to case. Where it stands right now, he's still with the team at this point. He wouldn't be on the team if he was participating with them in off-season functions. So we'll just got to take it day by day and see what comes out of that. Also, someone had mentioned here, Jake had said, I was supposed to do a show with Dono today. Yeah, no, actually, me and Dono had to move that to Friday. He had a little bit of schedule conflict today, but we will be on Friday on Locked On Canes.
Is he traveling the globe still?
Yeah, he'll be back. He had told me he'll be back sometime this week. I believe that's what he had mentioned. Yeah.
I was amazing when he was like just by himself pushing the Leaning Tower of Pisa back into place. I couldn't believe it. While he had a slice of pizza in one hand, because I think he's been eating a lot of pizza over there. So we've got to get, I'm sure, the full report on, I'm sure he's been reporting now, but just on how great the food has been on this trip. Let's see. Blue, welcome to the show. Will there be new uniforms for 2025? If so, when will they be released? I know at CanesWear we will be getting some cool new jerseys, some special jerseys we cannot say yet, and I'm sure they'll be announced soon by the team. Besides that, there may be some tweaks, but I don't think there's anything really big different besides there's going to be a really cool specialized uniform that they're going to have for the first time. You hear anything, Gio?
In terms of new jerseys, no, I haven't heard anything like that or any sort or any changes to the jersey.
There will be a cool jersey they're going to use this year. We know how they do it. That for a while they're the alternative jersey, the parlay jersey did not work, but we've been a little bit. Hopefully, we don't bring it out for a big game though. Dolphin Derek, welcome to the show. Go Canes. Hassan, Gio, I'm hearing we're going after a DT from Birmingham, Alabama.
Yeah, they had recently offered a guy out of Alabama, another one actually. There's a few defensive tackles in that area this year. I wouldn't hyper-focus on any offers at defensive tackle just yet. They're still in the process of, skipping over my words here. They're still in the process of evaluation there. And what I mean by that is they're going to speak to these guys. They're going to feel them out. They're going to watch the tape, obviously, as well. They always watch the tape. I wouldn't pinpoint it on any exact guy yet as a certain replacement for any potential miss that they've had or have already had at defensive tackle because it's such a long recruiting cycle. But I think things will have more clarity there as we enter into August.
All right, cool. Philly Kane, welcome to the show. Are we still in play for Keys? Do you like our chances?
Yep, Miami still is in play for Tristan Keys. Like I've mentioned before, though, Miami and Tennessee both feel the same way. They both feel really good about their chances of flipping him from LSU. I know LSU's had some more confidence recently that they may keep him in the recruiting class. You have Texas A&M hanging around too, who has spent a whole lot of money in recruiting. So you just never know with them. But what makes me concerned about the Tristan Keys recruitment is that although there is a feeling of that they think they're in a great position for him, Tennessee, like I said, they feel that exact same way too. And usually when I hear things like that, not saying all the time, but 9 times out of 10, kids are telling coaches what they want to hear and not actually where they're leaning towards.
Awesome. I hate football podcasts. Wishing you happy birthday, belated birthday, Gio.
Thank you.
Number 32. Chris, welcome. Thank you for reposting the stream. RQ305, welcome to the show. Do we land Cooper?
I have my pick on Miami for Derek Cooper. I've had it on there since November. That's one I have not backed off of. I don't plan to. Miami knows what type of talent he is, the priority he is for the program. I know people point back to like the Calvin Russell situation, but I've been on about this for some time now. I've said it, and I know there's some sentiment in the building too that Calvin Russell he was a great prospect. He is a great prospect, but it's more projection based with him rather than an instant impact guy. He still has to get bigger in the weight room, still has to perfect his craft as a receiver. I know some people compare it to like, oh, well, we lost Jeremiah Smith and now we lost Calvin Russell. But I've said before that Calvin Russell's not in that same grouping with Jeremiah Smith. It's not even close. So people that make that comparison, that's just wild. I think if you wanted to make a comparison that's more closer, even though I think Jeremiah Smith is still the better prospect, Tristan Keys.
All right. Good to know. So we're hoping we get Keys. We're hoping he's the Jeremiah Smith 2.0. And we won't mention any of the players that aren't coming in respect to how they do until they decide to come to their senses a year after they're being in their program and come to the Canes. The great thing, every year, everybody's back in play. That's the exciting thing about the NIL. Let's see. BD, thank you for reposting the stream. Brandon, welcome to the show. Can you pinpoint what our struggle is with safety recruiting? As I think with our lack of safety talent and depth on the roster, it would be an easy sell to come here. That makes sense. A lot of times you think, hey, if there's no competition, why don't I just go to Miami?
Yeah, look, I get it. I understand why people feel that way because Miami's in ridiculously tight battles heading into this weekend, July 12th and then July 13th for Tyreek Green and Blake Stewart at the safety position. Both are priority guys for the program. Miami's been pushing extremely hard for Tyreek Green, and that's something I hinted at and mentioned over 2 weeks ago, and now it's making more of the national news rounds now. I get it and understand why people are frustrated because you look at the cornerback class and you see 4 guys in there that are blue chip guys. You have Camden Portis, which is Clinton Portis' son. You have Jontavius Wyman, who Miami pulled away from Georgia. People forget that Miami flipped him from Georgia. And it's not like Georgia just let him go. They wanted to keep him in their recruiting class. They also pulled Jalen Waters on a flip over from Florida. And they pulled another flip for Brody Jennings from Michigan to Miami. So this is not like a situation where Miami's not capable of winning out some battles or even convincing a kid to change their mind. They already did it 3 out of 4 times there with some other defensive backs. I get the concern, though, because of Devin Jackson last week, who ended up committing to Oregon over Miami, Nebraska, and LSU. And reason being is the relationships there between Will Harris and Devin Jackson. Will Harris had Devin Jackson committed to him at Florida for close to almost a year. He visits Miami twice in spring, ends up decommitting from Florida, doesn't even talk to their staff for 2 months. You know, most people would assume that Miami should be the front runner there, and that wasn't entirely the case. And I even relayed that over time, that people would constantly ask me, like, what do I think about Devin Jackson? And I never had the thought that Miami was close to getting that done yet, or just we're still playing out there. It's frustrating. I totally understand that and see the perspective that fans see it. But like I've said before, I want to see how the dust settles by the end of July with the recruiting class, like how the summer efforts end up finishing up and closing up, and whatever words you want to put on it, and then judge and evaluate from there. Where did Miami hit? Where did Miami miss? And what do they have to do better? There's still some time on the clock. About, let's see, we're July 9th right now, end of the month, 20-something days still on the clock to see what Miami is able to get done before the fall comes.
Awesome. Funny old guy Al, welcome to the show. Brett, do you like pistachio cake? It's hurricane green. Actually, Al, it's funny that you asked that. I went to this famous kitchen called Picone's in Sunrise, and they had great pistachio cake there. Excellent. The best I've ever had. Thank you very much for asking. Adam Dunn, go Canes. Good to see you, Adam. Thanks for joining. Sigmund asks, welcome to the show, or I said that, Sigmund. Any news about the defensive tackle that decommitted from Oregon?
Yeah, I had mentioned that earlier in the show.
All righty. Any news on Colajay? When will he announce from Blue?
Yeah, so the expectation has been for quite some time now that it'll be before his senior season starts with IMG Academy. Miami, Georgia, both heavily in the mix there. USC's been trying to chip away too after a recent official visit, but I continue to hear more so that it's Miami and Georgia rather than USC. We'll see if anything changes there, but that's where it stands right now. I will say, though, I don't think it's a done deal yet for Miami. I know they've had some confidence for quite some time, but this is what happens when you get into these recruiting battles, that you have to close them out. And we'll see what plays out over the next few weeks. But none of these things are ever a done deal. There's been some recruitments recently that have swayed entirely other ways. And I'm not talking about Miami. I'm just talking about with other schools and recruitments and expectations from programs that could sway in the matter of 3 to 4 to 5 days out from an announcement.
All right. Jake, like most of us, are Jones versus Canes ball. I mean, it's amazing. The Panthers just finished their season, Gio, and they start again in basically 3 months in September. Exhibition. And now the Canes feel like we've been not playing for about 3 years now. I think Cam Ward actually has played his last game. It seems like forever ago. Pretty cool seeing Cam Ward go and Xavier going back to Green Tree, throwing the ball around. Cam Ward, the video, talking to people and everything, talking and acknowledging everything. It's really good to see him coming back and X coming back. And for that matter, all the Canes from the past always come back to our school like nobody else. But this has been really cool seeing them at campus. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes. Oh, well, it's always been like that too. Just guys always returning, coming back, spending time with current players as well, training with them too. So Miami's always had that feel to it, that family feel. Obviously, with different coaching staffs, things have varied, especially when results are not showing up on the field and coaches decide to start just chaining up the doors and not allowing people into the building. But that's not the case since Mario's been here. He's been very open and welcome to alumni coming back.
Do you think there's any relationship?
A lot more too, to be honest.
Absolutely. You think there's any relationship, or Cam is speaking with Carson Beck? Do you think there's any relationship there about going into the season?
I know the two have spoken. In terms of what level their relationship is, I honestly couldn't tell you right now. I could ask, but.
All right. Well, that's a good thing. Not necessary to find that, but it would be interesting. Philly Kane, yes, Lamar Brown is committing tomorrow. I think Gio said he doesn't feel it, correct? But we have heard from others that they think it may happen on our board, but Gio is calling it he doesn't feel it. It would be a surprise. Let's see, Philly Kane. Again, what's the deal with Cooper? I think you answered that one as well. Correct? You think we are getting him? You have him down as we're getting Cooper, correct?
Yes, just things will stretch there into the fall. Texas, obviously a program to watch. They got him in for an unofficial before the summer. They wanted to get him in for an official visit this summer. That didn't happen. Things continue to extend there. Regardless, with a guy like that, especially at that position, there's so much volatility with running backs around the country that guys flip from one program to another. It's just naturally how it happens. With recruiting running backs around the country, it's been like this for years now. But that was never going to be set in stone regardless of if he made a decision this summer or not. So, and what I mean by that is, let's say if he wanted to commit to Georgia one day or Miami this summer or another program, whichever program that was, they would still have to fight to keep him because of the talent that he is and at the position that he's at as well. Because the top teams in college football, if you look at the running backs that they go after, these are athletic freaks at the position. And I go back to, look, again, Jordan Lyle. That was a flip from Ohio State to Miami at the end of a recruiting cycle. Mark Fletcher, same as well, Ohio State to Miami. Even a guy that Miami missed out on, Kevin Riley. Miami had him committed for most of the year. He ends up flipping to Alabama by the end of the cycle. There's a lot of volatility at the running back position.
Awesome. Johnny Lagoon, welcome to the show. We're doing great here. You say you love the cat stuff. That is awesome. Yes, we are Canes and Cats 24/7, and hopefully they can both be champions. As the Cats go for 3 in a row, hopefully the Canes start their streak this year. Let's see. Gio, can you whisper to Tristan, please? Gio, get on the line and call him, please, okay?
Well, I know the other interesting factor with this recruitment is because he signed as an Adidas athlete.
Mm-hmm.
Some people bring that up that, it could play into the recruitment. I know Adidas, I know this from an actual source here, that they've reached out to representatives or accounts, like large accounts that cover certain teams, like teams that are Adidas schools, like Texas A&M, Tennessee, Miami, about Tristan Keys and like what school he's going to go to and just his recruitment and whatnot and the whole Adidas campaign. Whether that means anything, we'll see. Again, LSU, not an Adidas school. The other 3 are Adidas schools. Maybe it could play a factor. But I will say that there have been Adidas high school athletes in the past that have not signed with an Adidas school. So it's never a guarantee.
Mm-hmm. It's getting to be more and more big-time Adidas schools right now. Washington was obviously in the national championship a couple of years ago. Tennessee's on board now. So like you said, Texas A&M, Kansas in basketball, Indiana, and then you've got the Hurricanes, of course. It will be interesting what happens. Who's going to get the Miami contract? It's, I think, 2027 is when we'll hear something. Probably before that, actually. I know Adidas would like to keep them, so we'll see what happens. All I care about is winning. I think we won in Fruit of the Loom one year. I mean, Russell. I think we won our first championship, Russell Athletic. It doesn't really matter what they're playing in. I know I sell this stuff and it's important, but if you're winning, everybody's buying. Let's say it. Everybody follows a winner, and that's what it's all about. You want swag. Like Coach Rick said, hey, swag was made because they won. Nobody cares about swag if you're not winning. It's all about winning. Let's see. What do we got here? We got Andre Green. Cheers for the great update, fellas. All right. I'm glad that Andre found you on the stream. I think that's what I'm reading there. Hassan, who's the 2027 DB commit that reclassified to 2026, and now he's taking his visits because other schools are coming after him?
So he's talking about Kenton Dobson from Miami Norland, who's a 4-star defensive back committed in Miami's 2027 class. I mentioned this right after he committed. I believe it was March 12th or March 13th when he committed. I mentioned it in the private board that it was very much on the table that he could be reclassifying. News surfaced, I believe it was this week or at the end of last week. Nationally, it surfaced that he is likely going to reclassify from 2027 to 2026. You mentioned, yes, that it is possible that he will take visits. I will mention some background here. The family are big Hurricane fans. Not always does that play out in Miami's favor. It's been some situations it doesn't. But he committed on his late mother's birthday, from what I was told, which was back in March. His mom was really a huge fan of the Hurricanes. Dad frequents a lot of Facebook groups as well. I won't reveal the dad's name out of just privacy, but they're very pro Miami. Now, if you ask me personally, what do I think of him as a prospect? Some people think that he's a corner or not. I think he projects best as a safety at the next level. And people have asked me on the private board after he committed, and again, when the news surfaced about him potentially reclassifying. I do know that everything is academically set for him to do so. From what I understand, too, he would be more so in the proper class he's supposed to be in, which would be the 2026 class instead of 2027.
Awesome. Going back to Andre Kane, actually, he found your CFB 26 stream and typed in GOM. So you are famous on multiple levels, Gio. Congratulations.
Yeah, I did a stream on Monday for it was like a couple hours.
Did you go 24 straight?
No. I did a couple hours. I think it was like 2 hours, 2.5 hours, something like that. People enjoyed it. People came in and asked questions. That was playing the game. I went like what was it? Played 5 or 6. No, I played 6 games and I went 5-1. So pretty nice.
Congratulations. Actually, I got a guy that we sponsored, Mac Daddy. I don't know if you know Glenn. He does a good streaming as well.
I know.
And if maybe we'll get you on with him as well, because he's pretty sharp at that. We're pimping out Gio everywhere. We can't get enough Gio. We need Gio 24/7. That's for sure. Let's see. Jacoby, good point. Jeremiah Smith also got an Adidas deal, but yes. Ohio State is a Nike school. I mean, can I speak to someone at Adidas? I do have some connections. Say, listen, hey, if you guys are giving people's deals, we'd like them to come to Adidas schools. I wouldn't think that's a monopoly for them to do that.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll sign you, but you got to go to Adidas school.
I'll give another example of that. 2 guys last year out of the state of Florida. Vernell Brown III signed with Florida. He was an Adidas high school athlete. Florida is Nike/Jordan all under the same umbrella. And what's this kid's name again? Oh my God, his name is skipping me. There was Jamie French, who was a wide receiver from Jacksonville. He ended up going to Texas. He was an Adidas high school athlete as well. Texas is not an Adidas school. So it's never a guarantee that these Adidas high school athletes end up going to an Adidas school. Whatever their deal is in the high school level, I guess that's whatever they got going on. You ask me personally, I'm going to be very honest. I'm going to keep it 100% here, Brett. When it comes to these deals with these high school athletes or even some of the college athletes, I don't think enough is being done in terms of the advertisement aspect, like the NIL portion from the athletes. Like there's just maybe one post in a blue moon. Correct. Like where is the company or the entity getting the benefit of that? That's just me. Jeremiah Smith, yeah, no, you're going to get a lot from that. Or like Cam Ward with the whole Adidas campaign last year. Those are great. But a high school kid, how many people are really going to know who that
Exactly. We get asked for, different kids to get coming and signing, not in high school, but college. And if they're not a big name, it's difficult because how many people are going to really come and see them and pay for their autograph? And even, it is tough. We get phone calls all the time to the store and emails, hey, we represent these people. Do you want them to do something for you? I mean, name, image, likeness, right now it is more, which is good, about paying the athlete. It's not about getting back as much right now. It's about paying the athlete. But you're right. How many times does it pay off? For that matter, how many times is any advertisement? I mean, Jordan Spieth, I remember signing that big Under Armour deal. They probably made it big when he got the, when he won the Masters. We start selling golf clubs and golf shirts, and that's something that's specified. But you're right. A kid goes out to a car dealership or so. Is that, especially if it's a high school kid, what are they really getting? It's really more they're giving to the kid, which you weren't allowed to do before. We were never allowed to give to kids before. The only time we could have somebody come in for an autograph signing is when they graduated or they were leaving and they were going to the NFL, or for example, it could be going to the NBA. By the way, like Jordan Miller came to our store, great kid, and I just saw that he was let go by the Clippers. I'm hoping the Heat are able to get him because I really thought he was going to have an unbelievable NBA career, and hopefully he still can. But yeah, so we took kids that were just moving on in most cases and going to the NBA, the NFL, MLB. Now it's just, it's basically just giving back to them, which we never could do. And I know all the athletes in the past wish we could have done that. So it's interesting. Blue, what's the best sports bar in South Florida to watch football games outside of the Canes? I've got a lot of favorites, but we do go to Quarterdeck in Davie and Sawgrass for Panther merchandise to sell. Those are good, but there's so many good ones. Send us a message if you want any better specifics. I hate to point out since they're all
I know some good ones.
That's why I hate to point anyone out, and especially.
I know some good ones. Well, one in particular is not a sports bar, but it's a University of Miami, basically landmark or icon, if you will. They also sponsor the school. The Big Cheese Pizza joint, yes, right down there in Coral Gables. That's really great for game days. You also have Sports Grill, which is down there by campus as well, not too far. I've heard that is really good from multiple people that have gone. Tap, I believe it's Tap 42 as well. There's some Canes that show up, Canes fans that show up there on game days as well. And one other one I'll mention, the Tank Brewery in Miami. They have a really big venue. It's able to fit a large amount of people. I did an event there before. It was really nice. And I'd say up in Broward, me personally, because I go there pretty often, I like, what's the name of it again? Oh my goodness. There's Brett, you know what it is because I go there pretty often.
Where is it that you go? Flanagan's, Twin Peaks.
Well, Twin Peaks is nice too, but there's Duffy's.
Duffy's, yes. Yeah, they're good. They have the Friday the Friday Canes meetings, so we're going to try to do some things with Mai Kai as well. We just had a signing. Bill and the guys there are really great. They used to do the meetings back when on Friday nights for the Canes. I remember I used to go to them with my buddy Jeff Griever, and we go over there and watch the Canes meet and greet there, and it was awesome. So I think they're going to start wanting to get into some Canes action as well. So lots of great places. Any particular places, feel free to reach out. Omar, why does Mario always whiff on hometown 5 stars? Well, I personally don't know if he always whiffs, but it's definitely hard to get. If you get one. I just did see, we have out of the top 30 players now, we're tied for 5th in the college football top 50 or so. Do you feel that we always whiff, Gio, and what do you think we can do differently?
Well, I know who Omar is. He is a Florida State fan who is obsessed with commenting on one of my posts. I have to give him credit. He is dedicated because anytime I post something, he's right under there with his FSU propaganda or just hate on Miami. So I give him credit for being very consistent. Now, in terms of his question, so I'll answer honestly. Local 5 stars. So do you really think Calvin Russell's a 5-star? I'm going to ask you that question, Omar, because he's not. A 5-star, yeah, Derek Cooper, Miami's still in the running for that. We'll see how that plays out. Jeremiah Smith, they lost out narrowly to Ohio State on early signing day. Story ends up coming out a whole year later, but I mentioned back then that he told Miami he was coming the night before. It's unfortunate how that played out. They have landed other local 5 stars. Armando Blunt was a 5 star. That's a local guy. They also landed Josiah Trader. Depending on which recruiting site you looked at, he was a 5 star prospect. Well, and I'm not going to count the 2022 class because that was the transition class when Mario came in and only had 2 weeks to recruit. So you got 23, 24, and 25. So in 24, they did get a local 5 star. They missed out on Brandon Innes for the 2023 class. But again, is that a miss or not in the long run? Because Brandon Innes hasn't really produced yet at the collegiate level. Maybe he does this year. I know he's going to be in an elevated role for the Buckeyes this season, but again, you still have to see the production first to label that as, was it a miss in the long run?
I mean, and to that question, we don't only have to get from South Florida. We just got Jackson Cantwell. I mean, he's give him almost 6 stars for that matter.
Mano.
No, yeah, we've got plenty, and we've got 5 stars that haven't worked out. Who's the kid that was? I'm sorry, go on.
They got Marquise Lightfoot, who's going to play a big role this year, another 5-star guy. Justin Scott, who they flipped from Ohio State. So let's not sit here and act like, yes, I understand his question about like hometown 5 stars, but there hasn't been too many in recent time.
Absolutely. But, maybe if we got more, we would have had a better record than Florida State last year.
I got to give Omar credit, though. He's very consistent.
You got to give him credit. You got persistence is the key. But we were, 10-2 during the season? The regular season? And what were they?
2-10.
Okay. Little mirror image there. Not to say that last year is any indication of future gains, but hopefully we'll be trending in the same direction this year.
I got another response for Omar, actually. Did you know that Miami has never gone 2-10 in a single season in history?
Wow. I did not know that. That's amazing.
I don't think we would ever know that because Miami's never been that bad. But we've been bad before, but not that bad.
Bad, but not that bad. Pinblock 305. Do we feel good about any recruiting battles? Well, we've got players. We haven't lost them. We still have top 7 or 8 recruiting class?
They're 8th in the.
We're 8th. So we're 8th in the whole country. We're 8th. How many Power 4 teams are there?
Oh, you're talking about roughly. Last time I checked, it's about 60. 60
so we're 8 out of 60 in the Power 4. We're battling teams that have all the money in the world. Every school in Texas. Ohio State, where there's nothing to do. Michigan, nothing to do. Alabama, nothing to do. That's all they do is college football. There's nothing else going on in these places, and we're 8th, so not too shabby. But it seems like it seems like people are giving up, and let's see how it goes, and also then let's see how we coach these guys up, because we've gotten 5 stars before that we did nothing with. And some of these 5 stars aren't going to even do well where they're at, and they're going to be moving on. So maybe we'll get a 5-star the year later. So 8th in the country. While it's not perfect, when's the last time we finished 8th in the country after the season in our record? We've not. Rarely are we top 10, correct? So
last year Miami took a smaller class, so they finished just outside the top 10. Which I believe is 12th or 13th. By the average rating, it was actually one of Mario's better classes. I know people don't want to hear that because people get infatuated with like the actual rank. People bring up 2024 that Miami had a top 5 class in that group. I will mention this again. If Alabama and Texas had taken bigger classes that year, because Miami had like 6 or 7 more guys than them, Miami would have finished 6th. So, and I've been on record saying this too. I believe, this is my belief, Miami is still a tier 2 team in recruiting. You have a tier 1. Your tier 1 is Oregon, Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, and Texas. Those are your tier 1 teams in recruiting. We'll see what happens with Texas Tech and Texas A&M throwing around all this money, but those are your tier 1 teams in recruiting. And what I mean by that is they are capable of signing 4 to 7 5-stars in a single recruiting class. Miami's only ever done 3 in one class. So again, the only way that Miami can reach that point is consistency, getting into the playoffs, raising the national perception. Actually, if you ask me personally, I think the kids around the country respect Miami more than the local kids, but it is what it is. Miami's got to deal with politics. They got to deal with handlers. They got to deal with street agents. They got to deal with guys who think they have more importance than what the actual player is. But hey.
Also, Gio, these teams win 10 games consistently year in and year out and win bowl games. We have won one bowl game in 18 years, and we've had 2 10-win seasons in 18 years. So the fact that we are even close to the top 10 is amazing. I mean, really, we're the Hurricanes. We won 5 national championships. We probably should have won 3 more. We got jobbed or lost them on our own. We shouldn't have, and we have a great legacy. But for the last 18, 19 years, the Canes haven't really done anything. Now, luckily, we just produced the #1 pick in the draft. Should have been the Heisman Trophy. If we play a little bit better on defense, probably. But I think the best is yet to come. But considering how bad we've been on the field, we are definitely we're doing better recruiting than a lot of people would think. That's just my opinion. And for some reason, our kids play better in the NFL sometimes than they play before we get them and while we get them, which is because in the NFL, our guys are amazing, even in the last 20 years, after the great run of 01, 02, and 03. Let's see. Andre asked, you've probably covered it already. I know you have, but any other potential big fish that we may land that people aren't talking about? Any surprises that you may think that are possible as an outside shot? 1, 2, 3%.
I see the names you mentioned there. Let's see, running back, receiver. I'm not saying this one happens, but one that Miami's still working through is a 4-star pass rusher out of the state of Alabama, Jaquez Wilkes, that his official visit did not end up taking place for personal family reasons. Some have the belief that Auburn could get that done. If he doesn't commit to the Tigers this summer, Miami has a great chance of getting him back on campus in the fall for a game day visit and using that as a full-on official visit as well. Anyone else that I would mention here? That's the one I would say for now. Things will shift after the summer comes to an end, and we'll see what changes are made to the board.
All right, Juan Manuel, welcome to the show. Gio, how big is Armando Blunt weight-wise? Could he share 4th-team tackle with Simpson? I was like, I glanced at it. He loves it.
I saw his other comment. That was funny. Yeah, but in terms of Armando Blunt, so a little over 260 right now, has actually leaned up a bit. And what I mean by that is I saw this kid when he was a sophomore at Dillard High School before he even went to Miami Central. People will remember him as like Miami Central guy because that's what his recruiting profile says. I remember when he was playing at Dillard, and I know his defensive coordinator at the time very well, really great guy. Give me 1 second here. Okay. Hold on. Wait, just give me 1 moment. I had something come in. Have to open up something here. 1 sec.
All right. Well, Gio's looking at that.
All right, we're good.
Oh, there we go.
So can he play that potential 4th role at defensive tackle? Well, he is going to be an edge rusher. He's very much going to be in the rotation this year. He did make a jump from last year to this season. The biggest thing that's always stood out with me, for me, with Armando Blunt, and I saw this from the sidelines when he was on the field last year, violent hands. Is very good use of his hands as a defensive lineman already, and he's really young too. He has a lot of potential. I could see him playing some defensive tackle in certain instances, along with guys like Ruben Bain, Akeem Mesidor. Those guys are going to have to do that at some points. Not for like an entire season, but at certain points in games, they are going to have to shift inside because I don't think Miami has enough depth to go long term in a season at defensive tackle with what they have. Like, they have some pretty good guys near their top group. They have a young guy in Dante Simpson that flashed quite a bit in spring, but they still need more. So I think those guys are going to have to fill in some spots. And I think Armando Blunt can do it. He's very powerful as a defensive lineman. Very, very powerful.
All right, awesome news there. Let's see. What's the next question, Gio? My computer froze up.
Juan Manuel said, Gio, is there a better time for Miami to play Notre Dame? Freshman QB, 0 snaps, top OL and top defensive line, new DC center and project starter defensive end coming off ACL without spring for the first game back at Hard Rock. Yeah, like I've mentioned before about that game on August 31st. Notre Dame is breaking in a brand new quarterback who's never started a college football game yet. I did watch CJ Carr when he was coming out of high school. He played for California Power, who Miami's landed some recruits from recently, like Cannon Pickett and Vance Spafford, and they were chasing after DJ Pickett last year, who played for California Power, that 7-on-7 team. But I still, in my head, the way I envision it is, I don't see a world right now where Miami, and particularly Carson Beck, loses a head-to-head matchup with a quarterback who's starting his first ever collegiate game. Unless CJ Carr is a generational type of talent, and no one really knows those type of things until these guys get on the field and start playing. I find it hard to see Carson Beck losing a matchup like that. But again, other things that come into play, the defensive. Notre Dame, regardless what anyone says, they still have a very good defense, especially their secondary as well. There is some questions with their linebackers, I'll say, but their defensive line, people bring up how many guys they lost on that front. But last year, some of their starting guys, they missed time during the season. So some of those backups that are coming into starting roles now, they played a lot of snaps on that defense, on that team that went to the national championship game last year. I do think the receivers, though, they're going to test Miami's defensive backs, and their defensive backs are going to test Miami's receivers, which are both some level of question marks going into this year. The amount of resources that were put into improving Miami's defensive backs, and people's questions about who emerges at wide receiver this year. I think that receiver group from Notre Dame and those defensive backs are the best ones, the best groups that Miami will face in the entire regular season. So I think you're going to learn really quick what this Miami team is in that first game.
All right, yeah. I think that if we play anything like we did in the first game last year, our defense in the Swamp, when we totally dominated that game, I think we're going to have no issues at all. I think the crowd is going to be the 12th man. Sunday night, a feverish crowd, so loud. I expect a lot of timeouts from the refs to go ahead so they can hear the cadences. I think the last time Notre Dame played here, the crowd was up. They're going to be just as up this time. First game of the season. And it's going to be huge. Freshman quarterback walking into one of the loudest stadiums there is going to be very difficult. So our defense, if our front seven, especially our front four, can put pressure on them, and they don't have any big breaks of runs with their good offensive line, if we can get the pressure on the quarterback, I think we should have a field day. That's my opinion. I think we should be able to run and keep running. And I think Beck, it's not going to be about Beck. It's going to be about just winning the game. I believe he wants nothing more than to win a national championship that will or at least have a big season that'll catapult him to a high first-round pick if he goes ahead and plays the whole season. Jet 305, welcome to the show. Good point here. A better season in 23 on Smith, and the Canes probably would have had a better chance for Smith to take the leap of faith. I know Gio has been saying, said all along, he'd say if Cam signs, Smith will sign, and Cam just signed a little bit late, correct? He made his fake to the NFL, and then Jeremiah went to Ohio State, and then he came back. You're still under the belief that if Cam would have gone straight to the Canes and not toured with the NFL, Jeremiah Smith would have been a Hurricane.
Yes.
And if he was a Hurricane, I don't think we lose 2 games.
Oh, well, even if Jeremiah Smith was a Hurricane, I don't think that changes much of the defense.
No, it doesn't change.
I do think it makes the offense even more explosive. If there's one thing that I had to critique about the offense last year, I think they lacked a receiver that was a true downfield threat.
Correct. We also, we had Xavier, okay, and we had other guys make big plays. But like in the Syracuse game, we punt 3 times. We didn't score after being up 21-0. When you need the play made, Jeremiah Smith's the guy that you want to throw the ball to. He's going to find a way, just like he did for Ohio State, to get open and make the play. It's going to be very difficult, and you combine him with the Restrepo and the other guys we had. I mean, it would have been very difficult to cover them all. So, but I mean, hindsight is 2020. Cam would have probably had Heisman Trophy if he had him playing, and maybe we go further. Do we? So who knows? But I think we had a very good chance at him, and hopefully we're rebuilding this year and can win without him. Let's see. Bobby Washington. Hassan asked about Bobby Washington. Is he healthy? And Bobby Pruitt says that Washington is a beast and runs a 4.3.
Yeah, so Bobby Washington is actually ridiculously fast for a human being that's about 6'3", 205, 203 pounds. He's super fast. Both of the brothers are fast. The other twin brother ended up transferring to Coastal Carolina. But I will mention this. He did sit out the spring. He did have the ACL surgery. Not exactly sure what the prognosis is, if he's going to play this year or not. We'll see. I know people have been excited about him because of the athletic traits. Some of the concerns in the past have been that he has to catch up with the mental side of the game, like understanding the defense and knowing where he has to be and what to do. We'll see. Some guys, they make progress year over year. We'll see what happens. But especially coming off an injury, it's kind of up in the air what exactly his role is going to be this year.
All right, cool. Let's see. Juan Manuel, Miami didn't miss on Armando Blunt, Hakeem Williams, or Bolden to UGA. We definitely have got our share, for sure. The Jet 305, Coop is going to continue the tradition of best Southflower running backs to stay at the crib. That would be awesome. We definitely have been dominating. We have been getting the running backs. And we've missed out on wide receivers, but we definitely have gotten the running backs, it seems. We've never been quarterback.
The question that I would bring up with that is people hyper-focus the receiver thing. And yes, my critique that I said felt Miami lacked a true downfield threat in the receiving game. But with the system that Shannon Dawson has had in place at Miami, I think they have more than enough to win games at receiver. I know some people say, oh, but we lost Jeremiah Smith or this or that, or this year is going to say a lot. I think guys like Josiah Trader and Malachi Toney are really going to emerge and have big years. I just think I think they have enough. I think people hyper-focus on the Jeremiah thing. I get it. I totally get and understand. He's a generational talent. He's true definition of generational talent, because some people will say generational talent for a lot of different players, and I don't think people really understand that aspect, that guys like that, like Jeremiah Smith, are truly special. But the offensive system, the proof of concept is there. Like, even before Cam Ward got there, Shannon Dawson the year prior, like, even though Tyler Van Dyke, his season totally imploded and just all the off the field and mental issues that were going on, those receivers were still producing. Like, Colby Young was producing, Jacoby George was producing, Xavier Restrepo was producing, even Brashard Smith was producing out there too when he was here. So that brings up the question. I get people get fixated on the whole Jeremiah Smith's stuff and the receivers and whatnot. I think Miami's fine there. I think Vance Spafford's a heck of a talent that they got in this recruiting class. You're talking about a guy that runs a laser 4.3, not hand time, laser, so it's legitimate. A 10.6 and 100 meter. It's about 5'10", 5'11", over 180 pounds, could play right away, as a savvy route runner too. They bring in a guy like Tyron Evans, who projects a lot, very similarly to Isaiah Horton, who they just had in the program, who I believe he had averaged last season like 27.2 yards per catch at the high school level. Any level that you play
Wow.
at, that's incredible.
Yes.
So I don't understand why people get upset about the receiver stuff. People talk about Calvin Russell being a legacy and whatnot. Legacies are never guaranteed. Like Brody Jennings, his father went to Florida State. So, Will Mallory, I go back to this. Will Mallory was a Michigan legacy, actually. People don't realize this. Miami ended up pulling him away from there. So legacies are never like a guaranteed thing that the player is going to go there. But I'm just rambling on here, but the reality is I think Miami's fine at receiver. I think the system speaks for itself. I think the receivers are going to be productive yet again this year.
I mean, Malachi is a freshman this year, right? You see him doing some things. You were high on him, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think we're going to be good. I mean, obviously, we're not going to get everybody, but there's a lot of schools throwing money at these kids. It's not just about can Mario recruit. It's also who's got the most money. Nobody can sign everybody. If they could, the Ohio States, the Alabamas, the Texas schools would sign everybody. We probably couldn't even compete against some of these schools because they've got unlimited resources. The amount of money their programs bring, even the Gators, look how much money that program makes. So it's and we can't compare with our small university. I know we're, some people think we're in an area where the wealth is high, but you can't compare the alumni to what they have in other schools. That's for sure. Let's see. Scott is going to make a huge jump this year, the Jet 305.
Yes, I could see Justin Scott doing that. He actually looked really good in the spring. People forget this too, that he played some basketball coming out of high school as well. So his weight was kind of down. Spent more time with strength and conditioning over this past season. Now he's well over 300 pounds, looks the part as well. Athletically gifted for a player that's 6'4", over 300 pounds, playing that position. And for the most part, I'll bring this up. When it comes to defensive tackles, not always do you see guys really splash at that position from their first year. They may be more rotational guy, get some snaps here and there. Mm-hmm. If Miami can hit on Justin Scott, a 5-star defensive tackle who's considered like the best in the country coming out of high school, if they can, that's huge for their defense, because it's been a while since Miami's had a truly dominant defensive tackle. So they do need him to make that jump and to live up to his billing.
All right, that would be awesome. Let's see, Jake, my pleasure. The Jet, is this year Mario on the team shuts all the haters up once for all and wins the ACC and makes a playoff run? Sure, I hope so.
I hope so, because I think you have to build on last year.
Totally. We've said about the inconsistency of the Miami program.
Yeah, if you take a step back, when we talk about perception and how kids view the program, and you mentioned it, Brett, that Miami only 2 10-win seasons in the last 18 years. That sticks out. You look
that's pretty bad.
Yeah, you look at programs like Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, even LSU. Those programs, they're constantly winning games. Like even a down year for programs like that is like 9 wins.
Exactly.
So Miami has to raise that floor. They have to raise it. We
need to get to 11.
Yeah.
And win the ACC. I mean, 10. We've had 10 twice now. Once under Rick, once under Mario. We can't take the step back to 7-5 or 5-7. We've got 8 home games this year. If we can hold serve, I said on a tweet post the other day that it's 40-year anniversary since the start of our 58 streak run. All right, we started that in 1985, lasted to 1994. Last year we won all 6 home games. So can we make it 14 this year? The way you start being a great program is you dominate at home.
Yes.
You dominate at home. So let's go for 14. Let's win them all this year. We win all 8 games this year at home. We're going to have a great season.
Well, the old saying goes is first you lose big, then you lose close games, then you win some close games, and you start to win big. So we'll see if that progression continues.
The Butch Davis days where we got blown out by, I think it was Syracuse. And then we came back the next year, and
or the blowout to Florida State.
Florida State, 47-3, I think that was. Yeah, so those are going to happen. And just 2 years ago, we were blown out by Florida State. We blew out Florida State 3 years ago. They blew us out 2 years ago, and now we're 10-2, and they're 2-10. Think about that. How fast it turned.
It could definitely change.
I mean, they blew us out, and the year after we blew, and then now we're 10 games ahead of them, which is phenomenal. In our biggest rivalry. And by the way, we did win the state championship last year, Gio. It may not have been the ACC championship, but there was a day that state championship was as good as the national championship.
It meant a lot.
And we beat everybody. I mean, so that was awesome. Why does every college in the nation want South Florida Miami talent, Jake? And that's because there's gold in them hills. This is the football capital of the world.
I will say, though, Brett, I think that talent is it's been on a slope down.
It has not been as good as it was, you're saying.
Yeah.
So where do you think? You think other states like Texas are coming on? What other states do you think compete now? Georgia?
Georgia, specifically.
So Georgia specifically. But they're still coming from Florida. Yes, if you can go ahead, as Howard Schnellenberger said way back in the early 80s, put a fence around the city of Miami and go ahead and recruit there, and you'll win. And that's what he did. But you're right. But it's so Florida, Georgia, you think are the 1-2. Right now, it's closer than it ever was.
Yes, I don't think there's that large gap anymore. I think Georgia's closed it. Texas, they've always had guys, but I think they've gotten a bit better, especially with their facilities and how prepared these kids are. I think what you see with South Florida is a lot of these kids are not really maxed out yet with South Florida talent. That programs know that those kids could be something incredible maybe a year or two down the line. Like the talent's still there in the state of Florida. I just don't think South Florida, like as itself concentrated, is as deep with the talent as it was in the past. And I think just some of that has to do with families moving away. I'll give an example. One of Miami's linebackers was originally from South Florida, but Miami got him out of the Georgia area. Popo Aguirre. His whole family was from Miami. They moved up to Georgia. There's Travis Hunter, actually. Phenomenal talent. He's originally from South Florida. He moved up to the Georgia area. So
Travis Hunter, Heisman Trophy Travis Hunter?
Heisman Trophy Travis Hunter. He's from Palm Beach, actually.
Wow. So kids that move out of state, are they South Florida? Now, do you think that South Florida sports and high schoolers have been reading the headlines too much and they're a little bit too much into themselves right now? Like, we're the greatest?
I don't think it's exactly that. I do think it's reflected, though, in the national high school games. There's always the showcase to start the high school season in the middle of August. And I look back to these last 2 years, and these games that South Florida used to win, they're not winning them anymore. They're losing to the teams from out of state in the showcase games.
So they would dominate before.
They used to dominate those games. Like Miami Central used to dominate teams from Alabama and California and other different states. I would like to see that change. I would like to see the trajectory going back up. But, I mean, the last 3 or 4 years, in my opinion, I don't think South Florida talent is as good as it was. I still think it's really good, just not as good as it was. I look back at guys like Jerry Jeudy or Jeremiah Smith in recent time. He's like the one that really sticks out. But tell me any other guys that are like truly elite out of the South Florida area. I think mostly it's been guys that have gone under the radar, like D'Angelo Pons, who went from James Madison to Indiana last year and helped Indiana get to the playoffs. He was a local guy from Chaminade Madonna Prep. He was a 3-star. He wasn't even one of the top overall guys coming out.
Chaminade has been producing tons of talent the last few years. They were seen to
So-
be a baseball school for years, and now they're a football dynasty.
I look back to like the talents of Dalvin Cook or Amari Cooper. I'm just going off the top of my head here. There's still talent in South Florida, but my main point is I do think it's been on a trend down. Not significantly, but it's definitely not as good as it was.
We may get Uncle Luke and a few people checking out our show next time. What are you talking about, Gio? I know that name is not always popular.
I think it reflects from the collegiate production.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. So let's see. The Jet, who do you believe is more likely to get both Stewart and Green, one of them or neither of them, if you had to pick?
It would be hard for me to see a scenario where Miami doesn't at least get one.
You feel Green is a done deal, right?
No, not a done deal.
Not a done deal.
But Miami's very much in that. But it would be hard for me to see Miami miss out on all three of their top safety targets, especially with how well they've done recruiting cornerback. Again, we'll see. The decisions come up on the 12th for Tyreek Green between Miami, Georgia, and Auburn. On the 13th for Blake Stewart between Miami, Clemson, and Michigan. We'll see what happens there. I know things are still kind of hanging in the balance. Nothing's really set with either of those two guys. They haven't told any school where they're headed to yet. I'll come back with something on that on one of my next shows. It'll either be Thursday or Friday. I'll bring up something there, anything that's shared with me over the next couple days.
All right, great. Juan Manuel, Gio, it's interesting you say the Notre Dame wide receivers will test Miami more than any other squad, including Florida. He said both Malachi Fields and Greathouse are contested big receivers, not burners. Lucas and Brown match up. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think Miami has the cornerbacks that match up with those guys. I just think from a talent perspective, though, I believe that Notre Dame has the best receivers group that Miami's going to see all year. So you're going to learn really quick about what type of talent Miami's defensive backfield has this year. You go out and get guys like Zachariah Poyser and Xavier Lucas to pair them up with O.J. Frederick. And again, you hope it all gels together because on paper, it could be a great secondary. But we've talked about this in the past that there's been teams that look great on paper and then you get to game day and it's a disaster. So
sure. I think Poyser is going to have a shot at be our next Jim Thorpe winner. We've only had one. Do you know who that is, Gio?
That was Benny Blades.
Benny Blades, yes. The great Benny Blades. No, people don't usually talk about as the best safety as Miami, but I know Sean Taylor and Ed Reed get the highlights. I think
Sean Taylor got robbed of the Jim Thorpe.
He definitely did. What do you have, 10 receptions that year? He had the same defender that year.
What was that kid's name, the Oklahoma kid? Roy Williams. He was a decent player, but
he was decent, but he wasn't Sean.
He was
Taylor.
no Sean Taylor.
No doubt about it. So we've had three of the best safeties, probably. You can not too many teams have had three safeties like the Canes have had in their history with Blades, Taylor, and Reed. But I think Poyser is going to be special. But we'll see what happens. JoJo and Malachi are going to be household names by the end of the season. You can take it to the bank. The Jet 305 is cashing it right now. He's placing his bet at the Rock, and he's saying JoJo and Malachi are going to be special. I know you're hot on both of those guys, right, Gio?
Yeah, as long as they carry over what they've been able to accomplish and how they've improved throughout this offseason, I could see it happening that way. My concern in terms of Malachi, I think this will be JoJo's year. My concern with Malachi is two things in particular. I know Miami brought in a veteran guy at the slot receiver position. I don't think he has the same amount of talent as Malachi Tony, but he does have the experience and the production, Tony Johnson. I could see Malachi not starting out of the gate. I could see him like working his way into becoming the starter. A couple or 3 games into the season, I could see that happening. My other concern is sometimes injuries could happen or a player could hit the the freshman wall. This does happen to players that they look really good early on. They kind of hit that freshman wall. Mostly it has a thing to do with how physical the game is at the next level, transitioning from high school to the collegiate level. That's just my concern with Malachi. I do think he's going to be really good this year. I do believe so. But if there's one thing that could prevent that, because Josiah Trader should have been like that last year, but had an injury and he had missed most of the season. He didn't really play up until towards the end of the season and going into the bowl game, basically. So I think it's JoJo's year. I'm confident in that of JoJo, but with Malachi, I believe it could happen, but those are just my concerns.
So you believe Malachi could be like the 5th or 6th option when you count the 3? You said Tony Johnson, you've got CJ, right? You got CJ, and you've got, I think that's him, CJ, right? From
yeah, you got CJ Daniels in there, JoJo Trader. They brought in Keelan Marion as well, Tony Johnson.
I mean, obviously we got Lofton, we got both tight ends, which could both get a lot of play, correct?
Alex Bauman and Elijah Lofton.
So yeah, so Malachi's going to be 17 this whole year. Didn't he just turn 17?
Yeah, he's really young, actually. He had reclassed from 2026 to the 2025 group. I think he has the ceiling this year to be as good as the second or third option in the offense.
Mm-hmm.
But again, my concern is, does he hit the freshman wall or not? Because sometimes it happens to guys, sometimes it doesn't. And the secondary would be, if an injury comes into place, then that kind of changes things there, because Josiah Trader's role would have been much bigger last season if he was healthy.
No, absolutely, absolutely. So it's Mullet Run. Duck here says, run the ball, stop the run. I agree 100%. Last year, I've been saying we beat Syracuse. We beat Georgia. We just keep pounding the ball. We'd have pounded the ball against Syracuse. We would have never lost the game. They couldn't stop Martinez last year. He was a train once he started going late in the season. This year with our running backs too, if we can just continue to run the ball, I don't care how we win. And I don't even know if Carson Beck cares how we win. But let's just do whatever it takes. If it's running the ball 40 times a game for an average of 6 yards a carry and getting 250 yards a game, I would take that. And throw the ball 40-20 run to pass would be awesome. Because once we get that running game going, they're going to be pulling up a little bit, and it's going to open up for Beck. I mean, whatever it takes to win, that's all you got to do, in my opinion. So I agree with that, Duck. Just run the ball. Juan Manuel, what about Joshua Moore and Chance Robinson?
Joshua Moore had some really good moments in spring. I think from a physicality, let me backtrack. I think from a physique standpoint, him and Chance Robinson and CJ Daniels are some of the more impressive guys in terms of size and build. Joshua Moore, I could see him finding some type of role in some way or playing in some games this year. I don't know if he will elevate to being like a starting level guy this year unless injuries happen, but they're really excited about him. He actually had a practice during spring where he caught, I think it was like 3 or 4 touchdowns in just one setting in itself, which was impressive. Wow. Yeah, so they're really excited about him.
Well, how tall are both of them, Joshua and
Josh Moore? He's about 6'4", over 210. He's wow. Big and he can move too. He definitely looks the part. Chance Robinson, he had the injury that he dealt with last year, missed practically almost the entire year outside of a couple games, and he will be full go for fall ball. I think he's a guy that I'm still wait and see on. I want to see what he looks like in fall camp. He's a wild card, basically. I put it at that. He could rise up, or if he doesn't, then it would be concerning because it'd be his second year, and just the way things college football move now in a conveyor belt of sorts, with players coming in and out of programs, that again, the amount of receivers that Miami has on the roster, and then how many they want to take this year, it all comes into play. But Chance Robinson, it's not like a talent issue. Just the health wise, I want to see that everything came together fine when fall camp opens up, because he is a guy that could elevate up the depth chart.
He's a redshirt freshman, though, right?
Yes, he got a red shirt last year.
And Moore,
Josh Moore is a true freshman.
true freshman. And how tall is Chance Robinson?
Chance Robinson's about 6'2", over 200 pounds. Probably has the widest neck of all the receivers in the room.
He's in the store. He looked quite big.
He's built really well.
All right. So listen, so we've got no lack of depth at wide receiver right now. We are stacked there. All right. And tight end as well. We're solid with 2 tight ends. We have great running backs. We have a great offensive line. This offense should be unstoppable.
We'll see.
All right.
Like
We're
I
not
said,
relying on one player. And
like I
not
said
that we were
before.
last year, but these wide receivers could be a step up from last year. It sounds like if they play their game.
We'll see. We'll see.
Brett, bring the Kool-Aid, folks. Anybody want some, please come into CanesWear. We'll give you the Kool-Aid.
we'll see. Though. The guys look great on paper, but
absolutely,
we got to see it come together.
We've seen it before. The Jet confirming Will was a double Michigan legacy. Hassan, after Lopez interview, I believe Miami still has a shot. Hassan is calling Lopez on there. You said you think they...
Jason Lopez, yeah. We'll see. Things will stretch into the season. It's not a huge problem for Miami to get him back on campus or in for a game day visit either. I know some of the background there too is has a little more to do with the basketball side of things as well. We'll see. Jay Lucas is very how do I put it? He's very picky in terms of what he likes to bring into his program. He likes specific players, mentality. It's not a mentality thing with Lopez, but maybe more so of a size thing. So especially for his point guards, Jay Lucas doesn't really like smaller point guards, even though
defense.
Yeah. Jason Lopez is a really good point guard. He's a really good wide receiver as well, but we'll see. Just take it day by day. Nothing's really going to happen there quickly. So we'll see.
Jed asks, how do you compare the combo of Alex and Elijah to compare to the tight ends that we're going to have last season? So I guess he said Lofton and Alex versus, I guess, Arroyo and who was the backup last year? Lofton?
McCormick and Lofton were
also. Yeah. So how do you compare this year's? Obviously, we had a guy go in the second round this year, which is pretty solid.
I think this year's group has more talent overall in the room. And what I mean by that is Brock Schott is a guy like that not many people are talking about right now, but a true freshman that came in, was one of the best tight ends in the country coming out of high school, that a lot of people around the program are super excited about what he can bring to the table. I'm not sure how much he'll play this year. Maybe he'll have like a similar snap count to like Elijah Lofton last year, where you'll see him in some flashes. I know Luka Gilbert has surprised some people in terms of his size. Came in much bigger than expected. It's about like 6'7", 260 pounds as well. I will say, though, overall about that tight end group, though, I do think they're more talented from top to bottom. Alex Bowman, I've mentioned this before, that speaking to some people about him and their thoughts about him in the program as well, biggest word that's always been brought up is consistency with Bowman. He's expected to be a really good player for Miami this year. And Elijah Lofton, some people think he may be the best player overall. We'll see. I know he could play some running back. He can play some receiver if needed. He can play as a flex tight end. He can line up in line as well as a tight end. He can block too. Elijah Lofton is just a pure football player. And for people to get an even better idea outside of some of the highlights from last year, watch his game that he played against Miami Central the senior year, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. He's a tremendous football talent.
Awesome. Carl, welcome to the show. Tell us about Bryson Wright. Could he be the next JJ?
Yeah, I think he very much could be. He is way better than your average 14-year-old kid as a wide receiver. Coming out of the Jacksonville area, playing a Mandarin high school, plays for Raw 7-on-7, a great local 7-on-7 program that supports the program as well. It's still early. I do think there's a strong chance he's going to reclassify because he's just way too good for his class. I don't see a world where he stays in 2028. I think he'll probably move up to 2027.
Wow.
But
He's 14 right now?
well, wait, no, he is. Wait, is he class of 2029 or 2028? Hold on, I need to check this. Bryson Bright. Let's see. Yeah, he's class of 2028. Yeah, so I could see him moving up to class of 2027 just because of how advanced he is at his age. He's better than a majority of kids that are 17 and 18 years
Wow.
old. It's insane how good he is.
So is Miami trying to get him?
Yes, Miami has been recruiting him. He does have an offer from the program. He is a Florida State legacy, but from my understanding of the situation, his recruitment is very wide open.
All right, cool. Chet mentioned Scott played running back in high school. He was a tank. Is that a possibility? You could see that happening?
Justin Scott doing that? I don't think Miami will go with that, especially when they have Elijah Lofton.
We're not going to be doing the fridge or anything like that.
Yeah. I don't think we'll see that. But he's a tremendous athlete.
All right. So five rings. Welcome to the show. We just spoke about Joshua Moore coming along. Gio said he is coming along very well, correct?
Yes.
Okay. The Jet, let's see. How's the tight end room looking? Specifically, the two freshmen you just mentioned, Brock Schott, correct? We're looking solid with the freshman tight ends.
Yeah, they even have a walk-on in the room that could actually play real snaps. Owen Ruskovich is 6'7" tight end. It's over 250 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, they grow them on trees here. Something's in the water in Coral Gables because that was even a surprise itself in spring.
Some of the size of these guys, like they're all Ted Hendricks, the Mad Stork. Let's see. Juan Manuel, why can't Miami experiment with Jaden Wilkerson as a two-way player? He won't be on the field as an O-line, but can have a role space eater as a D tackle. For some reason, I don't see Mario doing things like that. Like Travis Hunter probably doesn't play both ways for us as well, I think, in my opinion.
They're really excited about Wilkerson as an offensive tackle.
Awesome.
So I just don't see that move happening to him to defensive tackle.
Yeah, I don't see that with Mario as well. The Jet, this is the best roster in a long time. I have no doubt. He says we'll start up by dominating Notre Dame 8-31. We hope so, and I do think we can definitely surprise some people. Let's see. Jake wants.
Yeah, I think the roster's well-rounded this year.
Yes, I agree. We're definitely more of a team. I know people have said, and they say all the time in the store, how are we going to win if we couldn't win with Cam? How are we going to win if we couldn't win with Cam? Well, one guy does not win a championship, especially when your defense is unfortunately has a bunch of holes in it. And we addressed the defensive coordinator position with Heatherman, and I think we're going to be good. Kevin Dennis, welcome to the show. R. Mason for Oklahoma. What's he got there? You got anything on that?
You're talking about the pass rusher that plays for Oklahoma?
I'm not sure. That's probably what he is, my guess.
Yeah, he was a local South Florida guy. He played at the same high school as Ahmad Moten at not at Shalom Madonna. That was Cardinal Gibbons. But Miami, he was a late bloomer basically. He blew up like towards the end of his senior year. A couple of different programs got on him. He actually flipped from Iowa State to Oklahoma. Miami was involved there too. Just again, Mario only had like 2 weeks to recruit there. So what he was able to do in that short time was impressive.
Awesome. Juan Manuel, who's the safety that can make an impact next to Poyser? And Dylan Day is on a very encouraging trajectory. What's your thoughts on that?
Dylan Day is on a good trajectory, really showed a lot on special teams last year, improved in coverage over this spring as well. Has put on some size too, some considerable size since he got into the program. I think Jacoby Thomas fits really well as like a box safety. I have some concerns about like coverage wise there. Amari Wallace had a pretty good spring as well. I just don't know how much he'll play this year. Markeith Williams, he had a really good spring, actually. I know people may not believe that, but he did. Now, the question remains is, will that translate to game day? Because he had a great fall camp last year, led the team in interceptions, and it just didn't translate to the field. I think that's a really tough question about who could be that guy next to Zachariah Poyser. I think right now, if you had to make a safe bet, you probably have Poyser playing the field side as a safety. Not, I wouldn't say as like a full-on like deep thirds type of guy, but more so the field side, the wider side of the field, and Jacoby Thomas playing as your box safety. I think Bryce Fitzgerald, who just came into the program now, is a phenomenal athlete. Some have questions whether he's a corner or a safety. If he can make a really good impression early on, I think he could surprise some people with his ability to play some special teams, especially as a return man too. Don't know if he'll be a corner or safety. I was told some time ago that they were anticipating he would start off as corner. We'll see. They have a lot of cornerbacks in the room, so maybe he starts off as safety now. No one really knows at this point. But I'd say Jacoby Thomas as of now, but I could see Dylan Day working himself more into that role, especially if Coach Heatherman wants to have another guy on the field who's capable of dropping back and playing some single high as well.
It'll be interesting seeing a lot of new faces back there. Train 305, welcome to the show. Do you think we just spoke about Joshua Moore a little bit, saying Pruitt referred to more as baby Megatron? I know Gio's very high on him, right? And says he's coming along.
Wait, what happened? Hold on.
No, he said, do you think Joshua Moore gets some run this year? Pruitt referred to Moore as baby Megatron.
Yeah, I think he could play at some points this year. I think a lot of it has to do with just his frame and just how big he is, and still a little raw as a receiver, but you can design some plays for him along the way that even though if he has to still continue improving with the technical side, that you still could find ways to get him involved, especially at that size. He's the biggest guy in the room, and he's just a true freshman.
Well, I hope they do get all these guys involved because, they tried last year. Sometimes they could try to get guys involved when they shouldn't have. The Syracuse game, we spoke about that, the running back position. But when they are either winning or hopefully every game we're winning, we get a chance to get these guys involved. Reynold, welcome to the show. Why isn't anyone talking about Chance Robinson? We actually were talking about Chance Robinson. Great family, by the way. Been CanesWear family for a long time. And Chance has been injured, but we expect him to get some play in the fall ball, and we're hoping that he excels. For sure, he definitely has the talent. Wow, we are loaded with questions on Joshua Moore now. Joshua Moore, we're basically just, the way it's looking, I think he's going to be the number one wide receiver. Based on the comments. No, we are stacked in the wide receiver. Carson back between wide receiver, tight end, running back. I mean, I'm calling it now. Just give him the Heisman Trophy right now, as long as he can have a good year. One man, why do people forget Darrell Williams and Kenny Phillips? Both were 1-2 team All-American first round. They were both stars, studs. Totally.
Darrell Williams was the most talented guy.
Darrell Williams played at Cincinnati, correct?
Yes, but
Darrell Williams, great guy, played at Cincinnati or Seattle. I think both.
On that 1991 and 1992 team, he
was a beast. And Kenny Phillips was a beast as well. I just think the other three guys.
What cut Kenny Phillips' career short was he had I remember this. It was like a knee issue that if he continued to play, he was running the risk of potentially that they may have to amputate, which is crazy in itself. But that's one of the reasons why his career was cut short. But he had a few good years with the Giants, and he kept on progressing as well. But he was phenomenal since he was a freshman, Kenny Phillips. I remember the game-winning interception he had over Clemson, that overtime game. Fun times. Him and Brandon Merriweather, both.
Correct. Yeah, we had some.
Merriweather had a really good NFL career too.
Exactly. Lots of great safeties at Miami. You could possibly call a safety. Benny, obviously Benny and the Jets. They were dominating back in the Jimmy Johnson 80s. Jim Thorpe Award, and obviously very high. What did he go in the third pick in the draft? I think he went, or did he go seventh? I think third pick in the draft. Probably would be a Hall of Famer if he would have stayed healthy in Detroit. and had 10 interceptions a year. So did Sean Taylor. We know the story about Ed Reed as well. But all three of those guys were as good as it gets for safeties. But you're correct. Darrell Williams, Kenny Phillips, both studs as well. Let's say, Matthew, welcome to the show. Nye Chance. We answered Chance a couple of times. What about Nye?
He's asking about Nykar. So Nykar actually initially entered the portal after the spring and then returned to the program. There was a time that before he had some health issues that came about, they were really excited about him in the program. Some freshmen came in this spring. He still has to improve as a route runner. It's not like he doesn't have the talent. He does. Just has to improve as a route runner, more the technical side of things. And to play the Z receiver position, because he's not really a slot, you need to be a savvy route runner. And he's not really that right now. But the talent is there. They hope that they can get more out of him and get him on the right track, because there was a time that Cam Ward was telling people around the program that he felt Nykar was one of the young guys that in that receiver room that could be the next guy up. I know he said Josiah Trader in recent months, but during the season last year, that was the guy that Cam Ward would have mentioned to people behind closed doors.
Mm-hmm. All right, great. I'm going to get to a few more questions. 1 milligram of epinephrine.
South Florida losing a lot of high school coaching talent to Georgia too. Yeah, it has to do with the pay, with the way the way everything is set up for the pay for coaches in South Florida. They don't get paid very much to coach these kids at the high school level. You go to Georgia and guys are able to have actual careers. Here in South Florida, your 6-period history teacher may be your coach.
Absolutely. Sherrod, welcome to the show. Let's see. Correct. He's saying South Florida talent and still the gold standard. Points out Smith and Hunter, both South Florida through and through, both moved away, but they were probably the studs of college.
It's definitely the standard, but I think just the volume of the amount of guys that are top tier coming out of the area is not on the same level as it was some years ago. And I know there's some people out there that will agree with me on this. Yes, you have Jeremiah Smith. Travis Hunter, technically state of Georgia could claim him because he moved out of Palm Beach. So Georgia will likely claim him as one of their own. Again, I just think the trajectory has been kind of down when it comes to those elite of the elite in South Florida. That's just my opinion. Mm-hmm. I don't see it. I don't know. You just
don't see it as that we have as wide of a margin as we want.
There was definitely more.
A wider margin in the old days when that does make sense. Pierre Carter, welcome to the show. How big is the walk-on tight end, and how is he progressing? That's the 6'7" guy you mentioned, right?
Yeah, Owen Ruskovich. And
Owen Ruskovich.
If they needed him to, he can play. He could block, and he can catch too. It was quite a surprise this spring. He wears number 44. Wow,
good number. We're going to be back to tight end you. With all the guys we've had. Lofton is going to be a red zone nightmare. I agree, the Jet. Okay. Let's see. Hit the like and subscribe. Thank you, Blue. Who do you think were the starting running cornerbacks this year? Good point. Caleb, welcome. Who will be the starting cornerbacks? We haven't really spoke about that much.
I think you'll see when someone asked me the question about safety earlier, like who could make the biggest impact at safety, I think Xavier Lucas has the ability to be the best safety on the entire team if they put him there, but they haven't really entertained that right now. So I think you'll see Xavier Lucas and OJ Frederic as your outside corners. I think you'll see a mixture of Keontae Scott on obvious rundowns and whatnot in the nickel, but Charles Brantley will play some there on passing downs. Ethan O'Connor and Damari Brown will get quite a bit of rotation snaps at cornerback too to keep those guys fresh. So yeah, I believe that's the way you'll see it playing out. I think Chris Ewald actually, he could have played quite a bit this year if they need him to. Like he was ahead of the curve for a true freshman this spring, but that may not be needed. You know, like if injuries happen, then maybe, but they have a lot of veteran guys or guys that have played enough college football already that will factor in.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. That's good news there. The Jet 305, Thomas has to be the leader in the house to start next to Poyser. Jet, also cornerback room is going to end up having quite a few NFL beasts in the future. We hope so.
I think the best NFL prospect in the room right now, it's crazy to say because OJ had such a great freshman year, but I think it's Xavier Lucas.
Mm-hmm. And we never even talk about OJ. I mean, it's just he had the great freshman year. There's a lot of guys, it's hard to follow up on their sophomore season. Hopefully that's the case with him. Damari Brown, 5 ranks ask it, so has to step up this year. We haven't even mentioned.
Yeah, he was a starter going into last year. He flashed a little bit as a freshman as well. Unfortunately, he had that injury in the Florida game, basically missed the entire year last year. When he played in the Florida game, he looked really good. They tried to challenge him. Like he came up for a tackle, he had about 2 plays that he broke up the passes onto. They tried going after him and he responded. But again, small sample size there. He is healthy now. He was 100% in the middle of spring. He looked pretty good, actually, in the spring game, just from physical standpoint. Didn't really give up anything on his side of the field, too. But I want to see how he looks in fall ball. All the guys will be in the program. We'll see what the pecking order is and how things shake out. But I don't – look, I'll say this. I don't think the cornerback position is totally set in stone yet. I think they're going to let those guys compete this fall and see who comes out on top. And I know that sounds crazy because OJ had a really good year last year, but this is what great programs do. They let these guys compete. They have some serious talent in the cornerback room right now that could shake out either way. But I do think it's OJ and Lucas at the end of the day.
The more we hear about this team, the more stacked I think they are. I just hope our kicker is up for the job. That's if he does well, we'll do well. First mention, Jet 305, first mention today, Mark Fletcher and Jordan will arguably top 5 combo running back. I 100% agree. I believe Mark is going to have a monster year. I agree on that too. I remember him, I think it was the Clemson game or the Virginia game, and he went to the right and scored. And I just thought he was going to be a superstar. And I know really people aren't talking about him as much anymore. They're talking about him. He'll start, but maybe being number 2 behind Jordan, because Jordan has a little bit more speed, I guess. But if Mark stays healthy, I think he's going to have a monster year. I think they both are. I think we got a chance at 2,000-yard runners. Going on record right now.
Well, I think the guy that actually doesn't get talked about enough is Shamar Brown, who they brought in from North Dakota State. Mm-hmm. You're talking about a program that has produced first-round draft picks. He is only the 2nd Jerry Rice Award winner to join the Miami Hurricanes football program. The prior one was Cam Ward a year ago, so definitely a great track record there. I'm not saying Brown will be as good as a Cam Ward type of level. Cam Ward was incredible, but a lot of good stuff behind Shamar Brown. I will say, though, in terms of the running backs, Mark Fletcher, this is the best shape he's ever been in his entire football career. People forget this, that he came in for fall camp as a freshman. He wasn't in for the spring. He missed the entire spring and almost the entirety of fall camp going into his sophomore year last year with the foot injury. People were even concerned of, is he actually going to be able to play last year? And he did. This is his first full off season with the program. He's in the best shape of his career. I don't think it matters who ends up starting or not. I think they'll award it to guys just based on effort and practice throughout the week. It's going to be a committee again. I think Fletcher will have another good year. I think Jordan Lyle, if you asked me my opinion of the entire room, I think he has the highest ceiling. Mm-hmm. He reminds me, I've said this before, frame very similar to like a Mark Walton, but I think with much more juice. He's more explosive than Mark Walton.
Pretty good. Because Walton wasn't easy to tackle once he got an open field. So we have a 3-headed monster at running back. We've got 2 studs for tight ends, we believe. We've got several receivers. We have the best offensive line in football. We've got a quarterback that's 25-3. It's going to be a very dynamic team if we stay healthy. It's going to be awesome. Very exciting. So everybody that's listening, come out to every game. We're not going to sell out every game, but the more people there, the better. Let's make this one heck of a year. Jake, how is Richard? Speaking of injuries, how has Richard been doing? The injury that he had really spooked me out.
Yeah, so he's talking about Jadis Richard and his injury he had in the Duke game last year. He had caught an interception and just fell really awkward, and someone fell on top of him, on top of his leg and whatnot. That was an ACL, happened late in the season too. And I saw him in spring. He was not in a boot, so that's always a good sign when they're not in a boot or any type of cast. I'm not entirely sure with you, though. I haven't asked or inquired about him, like what's the prognosis there, but this is just educated opinion here that I'll share. I think there's a chance they may ask him to take a medical red shirt this year and come back next year, because they'll lose a few guys like Jacoby Thomas will be gone after this year, Charles Brantley, Keontae Scott, all those guys will be gone. So it would be nice to have a veteran return back, and especially just for him to be at 100% coming off that injury too. And as a defensive back, I think more than any other position, maybe even running back too, ACLs are the most concerning at those spots, just with all the movement that is needed at those positions.
No, especially if you're getting paid in college, why not? Let's see. Blue wants to shout out Max Galvin, home run in 4 straight games in the Northwood Summer Baseball League. Congratulations, Max. Gio's shaking his head. CB is absolutely stacked. That's everyone saying that, Jet. Maybe the best since 2017. Gio, if James Jones was close in picking Miami, and so you think he can still flip to Miami?
So he's talking about James Johnson from Miami Northwestern. Yeah.
Not James Jones, the basketball player.
No, not the basketball player.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, Miami plans to continue recruiting James Johnson. Again, we'll see how it works. It's so far ahead of the time. I don't want to project these things right now and tell people, yeah, Miami's for sure going to flip this kid. So much can happen between now and December. We're talking about a whole 5 months out. There's a lot of time.
Awesome. Let's see. Liz Frank injury is incredibly difficult to rebound from. Okay. He's going to show out starting. I see at least 2 TDs for him. Anthony Manzano, welcome to the show. The comparison I've always had for Jordan Lyle, who reminds me a little bit of Carlos Hyde when he was at Ohio State.
Yeah, but I think Carlos Hyde was bigger than Jordan Lyle, though. And I think Jordan Lyle was more explosive than Hyde was.
I hear Lyle is from someone that coached them when they were younger. Said Lyle always had that. There's something special. Fletcher's a beast, and Fletcher could be a first-round draft pick, but Lyle has something extra in the tank. And how big are they? I mean, we know Fletcher's what, about 6'3", 215 or so?
What, Mark Fletcher? Yeah, no, he's about 6'2". He was close to like the 230s last year. I know he's dropped some weight this year. He's leaned up. Mm-hmm. I know he's closer to 220 now. Like I've said, best shape he's been in since he's got to this program.
And what's Lyle's size?
Lyle is about 6 foot, 205. Last I recall, he's well over 200.
And Shamar?
Shamar Brown, that he's about 5'11". Yeah, 5'11", 215, 220 in that range.
So he's like a bull. He's very solid. So he's a few inches shorter than Fletcher, but maybe about the same weight or a little bit lighter. So they got 3 different type of backs.
Yeah.
In respect.
Well, they also have Gerard Pringle, who he missed some time in spring, got nicked up, but in the spring game he really flashed. He's got some wiggle and some serious speed to him. So we'll see if maybe he can find himself some carries this year too.
Mm-hmm. All right, Martin Dubé can't come to every game. You have an excuse, Martin. He lives in Africa, so we only need you to come out a couple of games from there. Okay, do the best you can and cheer us on, and hang and stick to our podcast. We appreciate it, Martin. Let's see. Martin, my only concern is how are Dante Simpson and Tavius Jones doing? Which one do you think is better? We talked a little bit, I think, about one of them.
Well, with Artavius, the thing is he missed some time in spring. I know there was some optimism that hopefully he makes a jump between last year and this year. He was still a bit raw last year. He's one of the strongest guys in the entire defensive line room overall, as built just like a house basically. But we got to see in fall ball. Dante Simpson though, ahead of the curve for a freshman, played really well in spring. You hope that he doesn't have to start games because that's really concerning to start a true freshman at defensive tackle. But as a rotation guy, he would be really good for Miami this year.
All right. Anthony, great question coming up here. Gio, I just read it. Gio, are there any other of our corners in this class that are being projected safeties at the next level? And that's always curious to me. Who can transfer who can move from safety to corner?
I mentioned it earlier. Kenton Dobson, he could play safety. I think he projects better as safety at the next level if he ends up reclassing from 2027 down to 2026. John Tavius Wyman, even though most people close to the situation believe that he's more of just like a cornerback, could also play some nickel too if needed. He's capable of playing safety. Just I wouldn't suggest that based on the frame though, but he is capable of doing that. So yeah, those two guys in particular can. Dobson would be the more likely of those.
All right, great. Let's see. A few more questions, and then we were going to finish. Let's see. Jet refers to last year against USF. The speed once around the corner was gone. Pringle is a cheat code in NCAA 26. And no one talks about Pringle either. Gerald Pringle is awesome as well. Shamar Brown. Okay, Hassan with the, I assume it's spelled differently, but I think Shamar's talking about, he reminds me of Austin Jante.
Ashton Genty.
Yeah. So it's that would be pretty good.
Well, maybe the size or frame, but Ashton Genty was really explosive. That I like Shamar Brown. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think he's
Ashton could be
as Genty.
Yeah, where'd Ashton go? He went to Genty, went to Oakland, right?
The Raiders. Yeah.
So they got Bowers and him. So they're building there. Let's see. Brody Jennings. We've talked a bit about him, Anthony. Brody Jennings, that we picked him up. Great pickup for the Canes. Legacy, even though, where did he say his father went to Florida State? But that was a great pickup. With Moten, Blay, and Scott, I think as long as they stay relatively healthy, DT will not be a problem. Jet says, I think DT is going to be awesome.
He's got a great point there, but it's always wishful thinking that guys stay healthy throughout the season. Most guys, they get injuries and it's never really talked about. It's just minor things or whatnot. But I still believe that Ruben Bain, Akeem Mesidor, and Armando Blunt, those three guys in particular, they are going to have to play some key snaps here and there on the inside, shifting inside for Miami to get through the season. I just don't think they have depth at defensive tackle yet.
All right. So you're not as sure about defensive tackle as the Jet is right now. Hopefully the Jet is correct. And 618 Canes, welcome to the show. All right. He's a fan from Illinois. Thank you for joining in. And, listen, not obviously we're talking about the people that live here in South Florida. Let's try to get to the game, support these kids. Obviously, people come from out of town every day, but they're not coming to every single game. Absolutely. Any support these kids can have, either through the airwaves or at the games, is awesome. Anthony, any updates on Tristan Keys and Lamar Brown? Gio spoke about him earlier, but he can give one last shout out about them since we're going to be closing out the show soon.
Yeah, with Keys, both Miami and Tennessee feel really good about their standing in that. He is committed to LSU. There's been more discussion recently that they feel they have a chance to hold on to him. Texas A&M's lurking around too. I go back to this, though, what I mentioned earlier. When multiple schools are feeling good about a situation, 9 times out of 10 what happens is a player is telling them what they want to hear and not exactly where they're leaning to. You also have the Adidas athlete factor coming into play. 3 of those main 4 schools are Adidas schools: Miami, Tennessee, Texas A&M, all Adidas schools. Not always do players that are signed with Adidas out of high school end up going to Adidas schools. There's been many examples of guys going to Nike programs or whatever you want to say the apparel is for every different program. So
it's not about the brand only, basically.
Yeah. I'm just a little wary about
money is.
I'm just a little wary about it because Miami's not the only program that feels they have a real shot of flipping Tristan Keats from LSU. And as for Lamar Brown, I expect LSU to keep one of their guys, one of their very own guys, home. I'd be surprised if it was Miami. I'd be truly surprised. Texas A&M, obviously, you got to watch with them because of the compensation factor and how much they're spending in NIL. But I think LSU, they're going to do their best to get that one across the finish line.
All righty, just a couple of more. Let's see. Juan Manuel, Lucas, and Poyser as safety will be great. We hope so. That's for sure. It's 5 rings. It's like you, Gio, he has a concern on the team on DT. Good points there. Let's see. Bryce Perry, I don't think they're going to be able to get Lamar Brown too. Yes, we're not sure they'll be able to get them both. So we'll be refreshing. Hopefully that's the case. Because I thought the safeties, at the beginning of the season last year, I heard the safeties, the cornerbacks were going to be weak for us. Then they looked good against Florida, and then they just fell apart. So hopefully it was more scheme than players. If the players because the further we went into the season, the worse the defense was playing. It was like they went from playing well to playing okay to playing terrible. So did the players get bad or did the scheme get bad? That's the question I've had. And hopefully Heatherman is going to be a big change for us. Because you see a lot of guys come in, they change the whole composure of the defense, offense too, for that matter. Coaching does matter. And I'm happy that Mario made that decision. I guess we all are. Any final questions there you need to grab, Gio?
Let's see here. Hurricane Sean says, I'm cool with just getting 2 safeties out of the portal. I could see Miami going in that route one more time and just keeping the focus on grabbing one more young safety like they did with Zachariah Poyser. People forget that Zachariah Poyser still has 3 whole years of eligibility.
Oh, does he? Wow.
Yeah.
He's a CanesWear legacy. He's been coming since he's a kid, so to the store with his godmother. So, yes, just like Chance. So we need these kids to shine here in Miami. Jet 305 says, we found out Florida was dog food. I thought Florida actually played well during that season. There was a time that some people thought they were doing better than us. So the Gators. So it's obviously if they had a better season, it would have been better for us. We obviously the only time I want Florida to win is after we beat them. Then I want them to win all their games, just like Florida State. Because we want strength of schedule. But that Florida-Miami game will be a little different this year. Not to say that we won't win, but I think they're better positioned. But then again, a lot of people thought we'd lose last year. We hadn't won a big game on the road in how long? Forever?
Yeah.
So it's going to be a great season.
They won the Louisville game last year.
Yeah, but a rivalry game like the opening game, like against LSU and Dallas, we couldn't win. Florida and Orlando, Alabama, wherever we play them. When we open up against someone, it doesn't seem like when the pressure. So I thought Mario came through strong there. Obviously, Cam Ward has something to do with that game. Just a little. Gio, tell us, where can we find you?
Everyone can find me on X at Gio Milian or also at Who Wants Milk _Inc. on YouTube. I do a weekly show with Amon Richards.
That's the Who Wants Milk?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do a weekly show with Amon Richards. Many people love it. The reviews have been great on it. We will be back on again this week as well with a little more information on everything that's going on and everything heading into fall camp. I'm getting some more details tomorrow, actually, about some reviews on players in the program that have come in. So share some of that good stuff as well. And I see like 2 more questions. I'll
No
take.
worries. Grab as many as you can.
Let's see here.
I've
That
got
was,
mine.
Jake said, "Thanks, guys." Oh, Gio, one last thing. Are you going to do more game streams? So that was the first time I actually did a game stream on Monday. A lot of people showed up for it. I was surprised. He said it
They're
took
hot, these
away,
game streams. Yes, I know Glenn does really well with them.
it took away a little bit of the lack of football anxiety for me. Oh well, thank you, Jake. I don't know when's the next time because my schedule like it varies. Like sometimes it could just change on like the drop of a dime, and I have to get on for something or I have to write something or just there's different things that come into play. But uh, I'll try to shoot maybe for the end of this week, maybe sometime during the weekend. If not, sometime at the beginning of next week, I'll put the stream on again if people want to watch it again. Let's see here. Five Rings says, "I'm calling it now. Lamar Brown will be throwing up the U tomorrow." Hey, from your lips to God ears,
Exactly.
because that would be quite the surprise, but I'm just not anticipating that. Jet 305 says that visitor list for the Notre Dame game is going to be ridiculous. Yeah, it's going to be a who's who going into that game. Let's see here. Jet 305 says, "Are you planning a tailgate for the Notre Dame game?" I haven't thought about tailgates yet. It's hard for me to do that with media functions, tailgating, because I have to show up early and there's other things I have to cover. But I believe it's the 29th. Yeah, it's the 29th at the Improv in I think it's in. I don't want to tell you the wrong area. Actually, it is South Florida.
Daniel?
We're doing a get together for Canes fans. Me and Michael Yo, and we're recording a live podcast from there on the 29th. That people are more than welcome to come for. He has the whole improv center where he's at. That they're allowing him to open it up before his event.
Oh,
So yeah,
that's awesome. That's the day before?
yeah, it's on the 29th, which would be that Friday. Yeah.
All right, cool. It'll be jammed at CanesWear, so I would love to go, but it'll be crazy. Is that Dania possibly, or the
I gotta ask
Danny
him
Crowder was
the
performed
exact
at Dania?
location, but it's South Florida.
Okay, great. South Florida. Let's see. Hopefully, the Jet says, I guess that's Carson Beck's undefeated against Florida and FSU. Hopefully, he continues that, and against Notre Dame as well. I mean, it's the first game, I guess, in a while that we played a big game that we definitely – well, we had it with Carson Beck, with Cam Ward last year, and this year we should have the quarterback advantage as well, as long as Carson plays like he should. So, Gio, I know where you're going to be. You can always CanesWear, Canes_wear on X for Brett, or Instagram. You got us at CanesWear, and also the CanesWear podcast is once a week, live on the FTSN network. We usually do Wednesday nights. Remember to like and subscribe to Bobby and the team. They've got Fins Talk, and they've got Fins Talk Extra. They got a lot of things going on. Obviously, this is Canes Talk. CanesWear in Davie, tons of new hurricane stuff going to be coming in. We've got lots of great items that are coming in now, but all the new stuff will be coming in as well soon. Lots of great things. Check it out. We're going to have some sales on some things as well. We got all the Panther gear. We got the Dolphin stuff coming. We're at Inter Miami. We're going to do big specials on them because we need to make some room for more hurricane stuff. So lots of good things happening at the store. If any of you were at any of the signings, we had 11 signings last week or the week before with Florida Panthers, with a lot of the championship players. We are planning on bringing in other players as well. If you're a fan of the Panthers, we're trying to get Kachuk, we're trying to get Bennett, we're trying to get Bobby. So lots of good things happening with that as well. And we'll be looking at getting some Cane players as well. But remember, 2635 South University Drive, CanesWear is the spot. South Florida sports fan shop. Great show, Gio. Thank you to everyone. We probably had at least 100 questions on there. Any last minute comments, Gio?
No, that's about it. Just make sure everyone to shop at CanesWear at Miami Fanwear, 2655 South University Drive in Davie, Florida. Also, you can also check them out online at CanesWear.com.
Perfect. All right, guys. Thank you again for making this show great. Thank you, Jet, for pointing out those jackets. We've got the reversibles. We got those. We've got other really cool ones. We got a two-sided one. It's a lot of cool things going on. And Blue, we'll find out on the improv. Right now, it could be Dana for sure. So, guys, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Go Canes. We're 52. We are 52 Ray Lewis days from the start of the Miami Hurricane season. So, when fall practice, Gio said, starts in about 19 days on the 28th, correct? So, thank you, guys. It's all about you. We look forward to seeing you soon. Go Canes.
Thanks.